So as we all know, COVID suspect, any patient is a suspect with any symptom, and many times many people have remained asymptomatic careers. But as physicians, we get only those patients who are having any symptom, or they have some contact history, or families who are in direct contact with patients. So it is important to know what are the categories of, how do we symptomatically classify the patients based on their presentations. So generally these are classified in mild, moderate, and severe types. And mild cases would be normally presenting like as we used to have earlier, the common undifferentiated influenza like patients, where patients would present with fever, cough, cold, general symptoms. And uh, they would be fine in general scenario. We would prescribe them some symptomatic treatment, and they would be fine in 3 to 5 days, maximum 7 days. But COVID patients, we have to be extra mindful, because many times patients initially do not have some major complication or symptom, but only after a week time or 5 days time, patients start getting new symptoms, serious symptoms, more severe symptoms or complications. And the symptoms can continue up to even 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And now we listen more and more about the post-COVID syndrome, where we see ongoing symptoms of mild, moderate, severe kind for even 2, 3, 4 months. So we have to be mindful, especially for the COVID patients, because these are different from the general viral infections that we see in our practices. So normally we classify patients into mild, moderate, severe. Mild ones without any uh, compromise in the vitals. Most important, as you see in this slide, is respiratory rate and saturation. So when the saturation pulse oximeter reading falls below 92, and they are categorized as moderate, and the respiratory rate above 24. And I'm sharing this from my discussion and my conversation with my colleague in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So this is the standard which is currently being followed even at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. But we have tried to make it simple for us to understand. The severe types, of course, will have respiratory, distress, respiratory rate more than 30, and saturation falling below 90%. So mild will have, normal respiratory rate, oxygen above 94 or 95. Moderate will have respiratory rate of 24 or more. Saturation will be 94 and below. And severe, we will categorize when the respiratory rate is more than 30 and saturation is below 90. So based on this, categorization, we can decide whether to treat them by ourselves as family physicians, or to refer them. Mostly 90% of the patients, even I would say 95, 97% of the patients are of mild types. And most of them are manageable in family practice, and I'm myself managing them now. And many of our colleagues, family physicians in our association, Academy of Family Physicians of India, are managing it in their own practices. And many of us have seen, more than 300, 400, 500 patients, positive patients, and manage them ourselves as per the protocols, of course. So moderate cases, we have to be very, very mindful, because, sometimes patients can deteriorate rapidly. You must have heard about happy hypoxia, where patients look normal, but their saturation rapidly falls down. And once it starts falling, there is rapid changes in the patient's lung situation, condition. And because of the inflammatory process, patients can suddenly go into hypoxic shock. So it is important that patients' vitals are monitored regularly, and if there is any problem, then we need to take call to immediately refer to them or augment the treatment part. Whereby in the borderline cases, sometimes when you introduce steroids, I've been giving my own practice, uh, they improve. And we have to know about the high risk patients, like mostly elderly patients, obese, immunocompromised, diabetics, multimorbidity patients. These are high risk patients, and for them, we have to be especially careful. So, uh, how do we manage these common things? We have to advise them about the uh, COVID appropriate behavior, mask, droplet precautions, contact, strict hand hygiene, and symptomatic management with adequate hydration. And this treatment, hydroxychloroquine, is being still prescribed, uh, but we have to be mindful. And as in my own practice, I have seen the severe symptoms develop only after fifth day, or first week of the initial mild symptoms. So we have to be very very careful and advise the patients. So in practice, we see that it is important to monitor the patient, especially from fifth day onwards to the second week, because this is the time when many patients develop complications. So mild cases, majority of them would not develop any complications, but if they are above 60, elderly, or if they have some comorbidities, or some high BMI kind of patients, we have to be very mindful, because this is the time when their saturation drops, and at that time we have to intervene by medical management or through referral to appropriate centers for management. So the moderate cases, as we see that oxygen therapy is most important part, and not necessarily all patients require ventilators, because it is very difficult to wean patients out of ventilators, and this is a transient phase of 3 to 5 days when we need to keep the patient adequately oxygenated. So the target oxygen level, if at all, even at home, many times patients require oxygen. In my own practice, I prefer when patients require oxygen, they better be kept at hospital, because intensive monitoring is required, and many times such patients rapidly deteriorate. Their oxygen rapidly deteriorates, and their internal lung condition deteriorates very fast. So keeping them at home is not safe. So I would prefer that if the patient's oxygen is falling below 94, I would refer and admit them to a appropriate or designated COVID hospital. And on hospital, as the target is to keep the oxygen level between 92 to 96, and many times patients, if their coagulation profile, if there are inflammatory markers, there are a lot of inflammatory markers which we are doing in common day-to-day practice. CRP is very important. CBC, of course, we do. C-reactive protein is more often raised. D-dimer is done to check the possibility of uh, uh, shock or coagulation disorders. Serum ferritin is, of course, is also done. So these are the parameters that we do normally if the patient is desaturating or unstable situation, and based on them, the further management is required for anticoagulation, low molecular weight, heparin, and all are being administered. But normally in my own practice, I would not prefer to give patients anticoagulation in home or clinic basis. And if such requirement is there, I would prefer that they better be admitted to a COVID hospital and be part of a management of a multi disciplinary team. uh, in this moderate cases, steroid is being given, methylprednisolone, dexamethasone. The doses that we normally use uh, is mentioned here. Methylprednisolone is given in dose of 0.5 to 1 mg per kg, and dexamethasone 0.1 to 0.2 milligram per kg for 3 to 5 days, because this is the period, 3 to 5 days, when you have to keep the patient well, and then patients, most of the patients would recover out of this situation. And this caution is required regarding hydroxychloroquine use. Many new antivirals have also come. Remdesivir and other oral antivirals have also come, but better, in my understanding, that they be given in inpatient setting and not in outpatient setting. And most of the patients who require who are stable would normally do with normal symptomatic management and anti-inflammatory management, including oral steroids. So severe one would of course require intensive care, ICU, ventilatory management, even BiPAP, and then ventilators all are required. Many patients I know have recovered. Many of you all would also be knowing and seeing in your own practices from ventilators also. But it is important that appropriate decision is taken at the earliest. It is always better to be proactive than to be wait and watch. So whenever there is some instability or patient moving from one level of severity to another level, it is better to take fast decision and be proactive in providing higher level of medication or intervention or management. So the severe types is not our domain. We would normally refer them to COVID designated hospitals. So then normally once a patient is COVID positive, we would advise, it is generally accepted that they are non-infective after 10 days of their course of illness. So if patient at all, we want to do a retesting, it is better to do after 10 days or 7 days at least. And many times, patient themselves are so anxious, they want to do tests every second day, third day, and fourth day. But better to advise after 7 days to 10 days. Especially this is important, getting them negative also, because if they are working, they are going to offices, their offices would demand a negative report. So even though many times in community when patients do not require any such fitness certificate, many times retesting is also not being done, and directly we are going for antibody testing and all. But the area and community I'm serving, it's mostly working class, so I prefer to do tests after 7 days to 10 days, and then give a fitness certificate if at all, depending upon the status of the patient. So discharge criteria all is being, is a domain of the hospitals, and after discharge, uh, there are protocols how to manage them at home, and mostly, the things that I discuss, and I'll be discussing in due course in a short while. So this is again a repetition of the same thing, and the protocols we should be managing according to the current protocols. Because if you look, over a period of few months, every month, even we had days when the morning there were guidelines, and the evening the guidelines were changed. So whatever guideline is being prescribed and recommended by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and it is available at the ministry's website. This is the link for the current websites. We should be managing our patients according to that only. Admission criteria, discharge criteria, and what medications to give. Common ones we all know the names, but it's better to uh, align to the guidelines which is being prescribed by ICMR and recommended by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. This may also vary, from state to state. Maharashtra may have some other guidelines for isolation, discharge, admission. Delhi may have different set of guidelines. So better to check with your local state health authority and manage your cases accordingly. But what we are discussing is the broader things and the practical things that we may face. So these are the high risk patients, as I said earlier, 60 years or more, patients having morbidities like diabetes, hypertension, and immunocompromised states, patients having several vascular diseases, obesity, BMI more than 25, and any chronic lung, kidney, and liver disease. And these are the high risk patients. We have to be extra careful because they decompensate fast, and in them, this multi system inflammatory disease impacts heavily. It takes a heavy toll on these patients, and these patients are hard to recover out of the insult of the COVID virus. So, because many patients, one is the inflammatory part to the lungs, the lung injury, but large number of patients have also died because of the sudden cardiovascular events. They say that there are smaller thromboembolic phenomena, and because of that, uh, even it impacts lungs, brain, stroke patients having brain peripheral vascular assaults, as well as many patients may have MI also and arrhythmias also. So low molecular weight heparin administration is recommended. So these are all not very important for our own scenario, and these are the newer drugs which are being used. Most of them are the drugs which are, apart from the antivirals, which are immunomodulators.